Good evening, everybody. My name is Darren Gilbert, and I am the co-chair of the Hardin County Sports Hall of Fame. Welcome to tonight, which will be the 14th annual banquet honoring the best of Hardin County and what these individuals have done. Tonight, we're here to honor two exceptional young student athletes who's going to be receiving West Davis Memorial Scholarships. We're going to be honoring 6 individuals as well as the high school football team into the Hardin County Sports Hall of Fame class of 2026. Before I get started, I think it's very important that I introduce our committee. I think we do an excellent job of promoting this. It's been consistent for the number of years that I've been involved in it, and I can't do it all myself, and without the help of these people, this just wouldn't be possible. My other co-chair is Mr. David Allen. David, if you'd stand up, please, I'd appreciate it. David is a retired educator and athletic director for me at the high school. Members, Jim Holman, Darlene Wilson, Mike Reisner, please all stand up for me. Thank you. Jeff Price, Aaron Thompson, and Tom Simmons, who unfortunately is not here today. So thank you for the applause, towards them. They do a great job. Just a couple notes of interest. Anybody that needs restrooms, there are 2 restrooms back here in the corner, and there is one at the entrance door near the steps. There are soft drinks back there and water at the back table. Please help yourself. Pictures. I think the scholarship pictures are taken care of, but inductees, as well as the team, if you would stay around at the conclusion of the ceremonies, please stay around. Mr. Catterjohn is running the board and everything back there, does a great job, also works for the Kent Times, because I think it's important that we get this out to the media, whether it be social media and or media outlets, Lima News, Ada Herald, or Ada Icon, Kent Times. So please stay around for that if you would. Afterwards, we'll get that taken care of. I apologize, I gotta write all this stuff down or I'll forget. The programs that's on your table are complimentary. Please take one with you at the conclusion of the night. Should you need more, please ask one of the committee members. We'll be more than happy to get you an extra one. If you would take a look on the inside cover of your program, this is not possible without the help of a lot of patrons. And I'm talking about patrons throughout the county. You will see a list of those patrons who have made this evening possible. If you get an opportunity to patronize them, it would be greatly appreciated, and I thank you for that. Inside the back cover, there is a prospective Hall of Fame candidate page. We are open to suggestions on possible new members. The only thing that we ask is you fill it out and return it to a Hall of Fame committee member. We have it in our bylaws and our policy that we do not put any candidate up to vote until they've completed a minimum of 15 years since high school. It just seems to work out better that way. Unfortunately, we had a situation a few years back where it was somebody right out of high school and they no-showed the banquet. So we made it a 15-year thing from high school, and that gives them an opportunity to finish their college level as well as beyond. Social media seems to be the in thing today. We are out there. We are on Facebook. Jim Holman and Darlene Wilson have done a great job on the social media aspect of it. So please join it and please like us. Tonight's meal, if we could give a round of applause to the preparation of Rhonda Howland-Shield and family, and the desserts by Lori Paul, please. Okay, here's something that I threw in here a couple years ago when I first started doing this, and I think it's important that we welcome back those people that have already been inducted into the Sports Hall of Fame, and I hope I don't forget anybody here, and if I do, I apologize. If you would please stand up as I call your name. Mike Reisner, Father Gene Freeze and his son Doug Freeze, Coach Pete Bruno, Greg Grimsled, and Lynn Cofarland. If you guys would please stand up. These are all members of the Hardin County Sports Hall of Fame. Thank you for coming back, and please enjoy the evening. You know, one of the awards that's going to be presented early is the Wes Davis Memorial Scholarship. Those of you that knew Wes started this thing many, many years ago and unfortunately passed away, I believe back in 2019. And after the committee got together, we discussed and we wanted to pay our respects and tribute to him, so we created a scholarship in his honor. And it's hard to believe, because I was joking with the parents of these two fine student athletes, and it must mean that I'm getting old, because I had both the parents of Jared and Deb Mans, and also JD and Pam Howard as students, so I must be getting a little bit too old for this. But our first recipient is Addie Mans. She's going to be attending the University of Findlay and participating in track and field. This young lady qualified in 2 events for the OHSAA State Track and Field Championships, finishing 5th. Please correct me if I'm wrong, Addie, in the 3200, is that correct? She also participated in both the 3200 as well as the 1600, and she is the school record holder for both the 16 and 3200. The other one is going to be receiving the Wes Davis Memorial Scholarship is Mr. Mason Howard. He's a Ridgemont High School graduate. I apologize, Addie is from Kenton High School. Mason's going to be attending Worcester University and participating in football for the Fighting Scots. Mason broke numerous football records as a Golden Gopher, so congratulations to both of those 2 recipients. Some of our former, or I should say Hall of Famers that have done very well at the next level. Julie Folks, I don't know if you remember Julie or not. Julie's a Hardin Northern graduate. She came in the class of 2023. The young lady won an NCAA Division III championship at Transylvania University in the year 2023. She also made 2 Final Fours and has over 400 career wins. Since that time, and I don't think a lot of people realize this, but she was offered and accepted a position at Division I Marshall University in April of 2024. And just this year, in March of 2026, she led the Lady Herd to the NCAA Division I Women's NIT Championship and won the whole thing. Not a bad accomplishment for a young lady that went from Division III to Division I. And the NIT is not the big piece of the pie, but it's part of it. And what she's done at Marshall, you know, look for her. She's going to be at a major college program, I would say, within the next 5 years. Tim Nichols. Tim is a Hardin Northern graduate. Congratulations to him. He just retired from public education in May of 2026 as a PE instructor at Liberty Benton School District. Tim recently coached football at Wapakoneta High School and has accepted a coaching position at Perrysburg High School as quarterback coach in the fall of 2026. Greg Grimsled, who came in the class of 2024. Greg recently retired as a Hardin County judge. He just told me tonight that he is giving up coaching football, but he is still going to be involved with high school youth at Ada School in track and field. David Allen. David Allen recently became a grandfather here within the last, 10 days, David? So congratulations to you. The last one here is Linco Farlow. Linco Farlow retired in 2006 from the Navy as a captain. Thank you, Lynn, for your service in protecting our freedoms. unfortunately, this is the part that I don't look forward to. Within the last year, we lost a committee member, and we lost an inductee that was going to win tonight, or is going in tonight. First one is Paul Ralston. I don't know if you remember Paul or not. Paul was a sports fanatic. He was a sports junkie. He could barely get around. Never moaned, never griped, never complained. Spent 35 years as a janitor and a custodian at Riverdale High School. He just consumed himself in athletics. Unfortunately, Paul passed away on July the 10th, 2025, at the age of 73 years old. The next fellow I'd like to bring up is Jeff Freeze. Jeff passed away May 14th of 2026 at the age of 68. His parents, Gene and Velma, siblings Peg, Doug and Holly, his wife Debbie, his children Brittany and TJ, and his grandchildren Liv, Max, Ruby, George, Henry, and Eleanor. To the Freeze family, speaking on behalf of the Hardin County Sports Hall of Fame, we would like to extend our heartfelt condolences to each of you. Thank you for coming tonight and celebrating Jeff's accomplishments. If we could have a moment of silence, please, for both of these individuals, I greatly appreciate it. Thank you very much. Now I'm going to turn it over to Committee Member Jeff Price for the invocation.
We turn thanks here. Father in heaven, we just thank you for all the gifts and talents, the abilities that you have given to each one of us, but as we celebrate those here tonight who have achieved over and above, we give you thanks for those gifts, and we just really appreciate the relationships that we build in athletic programs, and all of the people here that have had an impact on those people around us. So Father, we just ask for your presence here. We pray that you would be with the fellowship around the table. Father, we also ask a blessing upon the food. We thank you for the hands that prepared it. We pray all of these things in the holy name of our Lord and Savior Jesus. Amen.
Anyway, we're going to start the show here, guys. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to 2026 Hardin County Sports Hall of Fame induction ceremony. I'm Jim Holman, and I'll be your master of ceremonies for the evening. I'd like to remind everyone you get what you pay for, and I'm working for free. So please keep that in mind. I'd also like to wish all the dads in the crowd a happy Father's Day tomorrow. Don't worry, fellas, new socks and underwear are on their way. Just got to hang in there for one more day, guys. Also, we've got a plaque over here of all the inductees tonight and the team. Looks like it's the front of our cover. We have those at Skinny's. That's what's going to be our Skinny's at 801 Steiner Avenue here in Canton. We've got a nice wall with all the plaques on it, so you want to stop, fraternize Skinny's. We would appreciate it. This is our 14th Hall of Fame ceremony. We presently have 77 members and 13 teams are Hall of Fame. With tonight's event, we'll be adding 6 more individuals and 1 additional team to our membership. Tonight's inductees were selected by the Hall of Fame committee from dozens of nominees. A nomination form is included in every program. They'd like to nominate a person or team for consideration. As Darren mentioned, nominations from the general public are greatly appreciated. And as Darren mentioned earlier, once again, we have the Hardin County Sports Hall of Fame awarding a pair of scholarships to local athletes. Now to present the West Davis Memorial Scholarship, here's Aaron Thompson, who is still eating. My bad. I thought everybody was done, Aaron. My fault.
Yeah, still was on. Good evening. Thank you. As Darren alluded to earlier, we have two just absolutely awesome athletes we're honoring today. But not only athletes, we have just two absolutely awesome students. Absolutely awesome kids and absolutely awesome young adults that their families should be proud of them. They've worked hard academically, they've worked hard on the field, and I'd like to bring up one at a time today, Miss Addie Mans from Kenton High School. And as Darren mentioned, Addie is going to University of Findlay to run track and cross country and major in physical therapy. So one of these days she may be working on therapy. So, ladies and gentlemen, Addie Mans. Our male athlete this year, male student, is Mr. Mason Howard from Ridgemont High School. Mason is going to the College of Worcester and majoring in business management. So maybe he'll run a business in the community one day. So, Mr. Mason Howard. These two outstanding students were selected from 20 separate applications, and it's a kind of difficult process. Some of them are very similar. We had to make lists and compare X's and O's to who wins these. But just know that if they choose to represent Hardin County and the rest of Ohio and the rest of the nation, they learned a lot here, and their families should be proud of them. So thank you, and look forward to see you all in 2027. Thank you.
Again, we wish the very best of luck to both of you. You can read more about both Addie and Mason in your competitor programs. Now it's time to start with the induction ceremony. For our first presentation, please welcome Elector Mr. Doug Freeze.
Thank you to the Hall of Fame Induction Committee for carrying out this wonderful tradition that you have, and for the recognition and for recognizing these people for their accomplishment. Congratulations to all of the people going in tonight's induction, and thank you for your hard work. When we received word that my brother Jeff Freeze was going into the Hardin County Athletic Hall of Fame, this is not exactly what we envisioned tonight would be. Our hope was to celebrate this evening with Jeff and his family. Unfortunately, Jeff recently fell upon real bad health, and his life was taken far too short on May 14th. I am thankful, however, that tonight we have with us many of his family members to celebrate his accomplishments in this induction on his behalf. Here tonight, Debbie, his high school sweetheart, his daughter Brittany, her husband Carl, his son TJ, his wife Jen, my mother and father, Jeff's mother and father, our sister Holly, and my wife Tina. So thank you all for being here. We are also thankful that we were able to announce this accomplishment last winter at an ADA basketball game versus Hardin Northern. And Jeff and Deb were on hand, and Coach Gilbert did an excellent job with the presentation. And our family certainly appreciates that. How many of you believe that the Hall of Fame are for the best of the best, and that they are also for the memories and the accomplishments of those selected, but more importantly for the memories of the fans and the communities that enjoyed watching these accomplishments? Jeff was indeed one of the best in athletic history at Ada and also in Hardin County. His list of accomplishments were many. He was a true example of a scholar athlete from an early age. He was not only a four-year letterman and a four-year starter in 3 sports at Ada High School, but an outstanding student. He earned a 3.9 grade point average and was ranked third in his class of 100 kids. Jeff was the point guard on the 1976 basketball team that won the Northwest Conference, Sectional District Conference championships, and then lost in the regional tournament in overtime. This team finished 21-2 as a record and is now a member of this Hall of Fame here. Upon graduation, Jeff held the following records: a school scoring record with 1,139 points, 602 career assists, 200 assists in one season, and 21 assists in one game. All of those assist records still stand 50 years later. His number of assists in one game still ranked third in the state of Ohio. Jeff was a scoring member of the cross-country team that built an outstanding record during his 4 years of high school. The team won the Northwest Conference meet 3 of the 4 years in high school and made it to the state meet twice. He was also the starting second baseman on the baseball team for 4 years. Jeff went to Defiance College, where he started on the freshman basketball team his freshman year, and then transferred and finished at Mount Vernon Nazarene, where he played 3 years of basketball. He earned a business administration and graduated with magna cum laude at Mount Vernon Nazarene. And he also received the Wall Street Journal Business Award for the top business student in the graduating class. As a player, Jeff played a very big role in laying the groundwork to turn Ada basketball program into a program that won championships. When he arrived at Ada High School, the basketball team had won 11 games in 5 years. His 4 years in high school, the basketball team had 4 winning seasons, culminating with a 21-2 senior year that then led us on to 7 straight championships. Few people know that when Jeff left New Knoxville after his 8th grade year, he came to Ada. His 8th grade team at New Knoxville was 17-0. So not many people would have thought maybe you'd be looking to move on. He probably would have played with a great player that played Ohio Northern, Mark Hinchin, and they would have been 2 real good guards together on that team. Few might also know that when Jeff came to Ada, he was really a close decision whether he was going to end up at Ada as a freshman or Ottawa Glandorf. My dad happened to hold 2 contracts in 75, 76 at the same time, making the decision if he was going to Ada or Ottawa Glandorf. One thing I can tell you, my dad knew, he was taking a point guard that was going to be very dynamic wherever he went. And we are all glad the way things turned out and we went to Ada and had much success. As a point guard, he was able to get the ball to teammates in scoring position, and he could score when he needed to score. If the three-point line would have been in place when he played, he would have certainly been a specialist. Jeff was the fastest guard with the ball that my dad had coached in 23 years. And more importantly, he was a coach on the floor, and he put a certain flair in the game when he played. He was the inspiration and the leader in turning Ada basketball into a successful program. People came from all over town and all over the county to watch his unbelievable skills in penetrating a defense, handling a basketball, and dishing the basketball to teammates. He could score when he wanted, yet he was a pass first and get others included and put his team first, always. Jeff used what he developed as a basketball player at work and with his family. He worked as a CFO and a business manager for Eagle Construction Company in Columbus for over 30 years. This is a multi-million-dollar company that he oversaw financially. He applied the lessons and habits he developed through athletics to his professional life. Simply put, Jeff was a born leader with the ability to improve and motivate others on the basketball court and also overseeing finances of a business. Jeff also always put his family first. Debbie, his kids, their spouses, their grandchildren were always his top priority. He always put them first as he did his team. As Jeff assisted his teammates, he also assisted his company and his family every day. At his recent funeral, it was hard to believe the amount of people that came to pay their respects to him as a legend from Ada High School basketball. He was true lifelong friends with many co-workers from the Eagle Construction, friends of the entire Worthington Hills Country Club neighborhood, and most importantly to his immediate and extended family. He truly affected everyone positively with his love and candid sense of humor. As his brother, I know best why he is going into the Hall of Fame. I watched him in elementary run into a corner of a brick schoolhouse to save a basketball requiring stitches and staples to a head that resulted in a concussion, and we all wondered if he was going to make it through that. I watched him running cross country in a practice in the middle of the summer be rushed to the hospital with heat stroke, again wondering if he was going to make it through that. Most of the rest of us weren't working that hard at cross country practice in August. I watched him at basketball practice be a coach's dream that went 100% all the time at every offensive and defensive drill and fundamental. He never lost a line drill practice. No one was going to beat him or outwork him in practice, and that's what made him a great player. No one could compare to those practice habits. His determination, his pride and dedication put Ada on the map as a basketball school 50 years ago. The basketball memories he created, penetrating the middle of a man-to-man defense out of a double-stack offense, and shooting the long-range jump shot over all types of zone defenses, will be remembered and discussed forever. Accepting this Hardin County induction award tonight into the Athletic Hall of Fame on Jeff's behalf is his son, TJ.
All right, Doug, thank you very much. Dad would have hated every bit of that. He had this habit of downplaying things, and this event would have been another one. He did it up until a few months ago that he pretended just another thing. But I knew he would have been really proud of this. He probably never would have said it. But that was Dad. He was the assist man. He didn't want the credit, didn't need the points. He just wanted to win. And if that meant passing to Doug frequently, he would do it. Doug, I think it was you who broke that scoring record, right? Yeah, I thought so. But the assist record, he held that over Doug's head for decades, generations. He would send a copy, just a photograph or a screenshot of the state basketball program, the state basketball tournament program, and his name was in it. And every year he would say, "Doug, still looking for your name in here." One of the last things I remember from Dad, a few days before he passed, Doug came up, and most of the family did. And the pastor was there. We were kind of saying, getting our last stories in and everything, and talking about Dad's basketball career. And I said, I heard he had a lot of assists. And like brothers do, Dad said, yeah, would have had a few more if Doug could have made a few more shots. I was raised on stories of Ada basketball, and from Big Tough Strong to Roll On Big Bulldog Express. Those memories are forever with me. Dad really was the true Bulldog, though, in every sense of the term. He was smaller than everybody out there, but he had a bigger heart and was tougher than everybody out there. He never viewed anything as a challenge that was too big for him. But also like a Bulldog, he was fun, he was lovable. He was incredibly loyal to his team, to his town, to his people, later on to his family. Leading really meant the most to Dad. He was one who would lead from the front. And he was thrown right into the fire as a freshman. And he viewed the challenge of turning around the town, turning around the team as the biggest one. Each practice, each game led to that, but he wanted the big results. And that's the story I heard most from him. It was not about any one game or special performance. It was the turnaround. And Grandpa, he thanked you for the leadership in those years and talked about it a lot. Doug mentioned how Dad approached practice. That's how he approached life. It was always, if you're going to play hard. Play a sport that way, live your life that way, love your spouse that way. He couldn't understand people who saw it any other way. He loved an underdog. He found the underdog story in everything. I mean, March Madness, he rooted for every 16 seed till they were out, then it was 15 and on down. He couldn't stand a favorite, even if he was the favorite. And he kept that mentality through all of life and taught it to me, taught it to his grandkids. He would always tell us, if you're up against a big challenge, a story that he would tell himself before a big game, which was, Jeff, I don't know, this team's, they're undefeated, I don't think they can be beaten. And he goes, yeah, but they haven't played against me yet. And he would teach that to me, he taught that to his grandsons too. And he would talk about coaches like his dad, coaches like Bobby Knight and John Wooden, of the era there, that's kind of royalty, right? But Dad was a little bit of a rebel too, so he talked about those guys, but he played like Pete Maravich or Steph Curry. He was shooting threes when they only counted for twos. Probably drove Grandpa crazy a little bit, but that was him. He had style, he had flair. In that picture there, look at that hat. Dad based his game and a lot of his life and style. He had kind of a role model, an idol. In high school, Dad would wear a fedora in a cane into away games just to try to intimidate or throw the other team off their guard. And he had a favorite player and a favorite team. And this spring was kind of bittersweet as Dad's health went downhill real quick after a fairly long battle with Parkinson's and then cancer this year. There was a special story happening in the sports world where a team that had been a forever disappointment finally made a run and finally won it all on a miracle play and the biggest comeback ever. And Dad wore number 10 through high school. And his idol and kind of what he based everything off of was number 10 Walt Clyde Frazier, and that team was the New York Knicks. And when it took a miracle for them to win, I'm not much of a superstitious guy, but I couldn't help watching those games and thinking, maybe this was a miracle, and Dad might have had something to do with it. But thank you guys for this honor here tonight. Thank you everybody for coming out and supporting this. This means a lot to our family. We really appreciate it. Thank you.
Up next, please give a warm welcome to Ms. Carol Pitts.
Hall of Fame Committee and people of Hardin County, on behalf of Sharon's family, thank you. To all the other inductees here tonight, congratulations to you and your family. I start here today with this assertion that we were born in the greatest country of the history of mankind, at the greatest time in our country's history, the 1960s and 70s. In the greatest place of that country, the Midwest, born in the greatest part of the Midwest, a place called Kenton, Ohio, Hardin County Memorial Hospital, and raised in Ada, Ohio. I share that experience because that's an inherited belief, an experienced belief, a belief passed on to us and inspired by a girl who became a woman, who became a living and now deceased legend that was from here and of here. And she was so proud and grateful to be of this place, Hardin County. That woman was our mother and your friend, Sharon K. Ansley Pitts, the daughter of Carl Ansley and Vera Hinkle. She loved those family names, and Hurley, and Reisner, Lonslaughter, Thompson, Compton, and Lowry. Tonight is great. We remember and celebrate arguably Hardin County's most accomplished female athlete and coach ever. She was a hell of a cheerleader at Roundhead High School too. 70 years ago, she dominated Green Troops, routinely scoring 30-40 points per game for Roundhead. When they played Ohio Northern University, she put up 60 points as a high schooler against the Bears. She then went on to Ohio State University and dominated as a freshman. Thad Gardner wrote about those stories, and it was amazing to read those articles. 6 60 years ago, she came back home to Hardin County, raised 5 kids. She and Janet Reisner Kearns, once her fierce competitor from McGuffey, became lifetime friends and admired, and they dominated the softball fields of Hardin and Allen counties as teammates. Then 50 years ago, 1972, Title IX came. She went to Neil Allen, the superintendent of 8 exempted village schools, and asked to create a girls team. 6 years later, in 1978, she became the proud coach of Hardin County's first state championship team, the first woman in Ohio history to do so. Her teams dominated in what was a great era of Ada Bulldog basketball, where Gene Freeze and Sharon Pitts led some very talented boys, including Jeff and Doug Freeze, and local girls to achieve things that they didn't know were possible. Her teams happened to dominate in a way that had her called into the superintendent's office more than once. I guess beating a team 92-3 was not acceptable. That was her alma mater too. In closing, athletic achievement is why we're here tonight recognizing Sharon. And if I told you her greatest gift was not that, you may be surprised, maybe not. 30 years ago, after retiring in Columbus, she built a log home on Township Road 39 outside of Roundhead. Why? Because she loved this place. She wanted to be close to her family, her classmates, her former students, players, her cousins, aunts and uncles, nephews, and friends in Hardin County. And she hosted epic Halloween parties as well. 8 years ago, her ultimate legacy was inscribed on her headstone in the Roundhead Cemetery. A beloved mother, teacher, coach, and friend. I practiced this 100 times, but never cried. On behalf of her family and friends, thank you for the recognition to Hardin County Athletics. Thank you.
Our next inductee is Mike Merchant. Jim West was an inductee to our Hall of Fame last season. When discussing his candidacy, it was noted that, quote, to a certain generation of Kenton kids, Jim West was this mythical figure. He was the guy we all wanted to be when we were growing up playing in our backyards. Well, to another generation in Kenton, Mike Merchant was that guy on the basketball court. I came to town 30 years ago, and I learned pretty quickly that if I were to talk Wildcat basketball with, say, John Murray or Joe Prater, or most especially Bob Davis, I was going to get a history lesson on the greatness of Mike Merchant. Basically, Mike was Steph Curry before Steph Curry, Caitlin Clark before Caitlin Clark. I don't know how many basketball courts had logos back in the 60s, but if they did, I'm pretty sure Mike Merchant knocked down shots from some of them. His court vision and ball handling skills, I was told, were comparable to those of Curly Neal and Metal Arc Lemon of the Harlem Globetrotters. Yes, for the young people in the crowd, Curly Neal and Metal Arc Lemon are actual people. Look it up. I've seen one of his games versus Shawnee in 1967 on a 9mm projector, and well, he definitely passed the eye test to me. But I'm a numbers guy, and Mike had those too. He scored 600 points in the season, averaged 30 points a game, and holds 7 individual school records at Kenton High School, while also receiving numerous awards and accolades, including Western Buckeye League Player of the Year. Mike graduated as Kenton's basketball's all-time leading scorer, and held that record for nearly 30 years before being passed by Mark Molt. Molt's record has since been broken by someone sitting in this room, but we'll get to him later in the program. Mike couldn't be here this evening, but he did send a short video message. I promise you it's there.
This is Mike Merchant from my backyard in Tempe, Arizona. I'm sorry I couldn't be there for this ceremony. I want to thank all those who selected me for this prestigious award. And for those who are being selected along with me, congratulations. Got to do my chores. Thank you much.
Please join me in a round of applause for the 2026 Mike Merchant. For our next presentation, please welcome Mr. Lathan Leese.
What up, though, everybody? On behalf of my brother and me, my brother Nick Leach could not be here due to travel complications. He's living down in South Beach, enjoying the summer. Couldn't make it, so on behalf of him and me, we are proud to induct the best man we know, Tom Lease, proud member of the Kenton Wildcats and the Ohio State University, OH. Thank you guys, word. Dad is being inducted this evening for football, which was never just a game for Dad or for any of the two families living the Leases sitting at these two tables right here up front. It was a way to get better at the game of life. One of the best things it taught Dad, and as I said, everybody at these two tables, was never have any fear, never show any fear. Although we had it, although we felt it, you never saw it. I've never seen an ounce of fear out of any of these people at these tables. And I could see him take what he learned from the game and apply it to everything else he did, including being a dad. One of the core memories I remember with my brother kind of grew out of athletics at a certain age. He went into the theater and arts route, became a great actor, great artist. Dude, you should see some of the murals he paints down there. It's insane. But he was doing a play. He was being recognized for it nationally. He was that good. And Dad, being the dad he is, was trying everything he could to make him better, to make Nick better, even at something that Dad's not really familiar with. Dad was never an actor, never a painter, never a drawer, but he knew how to work, he knew how to compete, and he knew how to get better. And Nick was trying to improve his acting skills. And at the time we were living in North Carolina, we were filming the play, had a tripod in the back, so everything was on film, so we could send it to Grandma and Grandpa right there. They lived in Kenton their whole lives, right? So Nick and Dad, I hear him talking. I'm a little guy, and Nick's like, I gotta do this better. It doesn't feel right. And Dad says, you know what you gotta do, man? Football players, what we did every day. You gotta watch film. You know where to step, you know where to touch, you know where to reach, you know where you're coming from. You gotta watch yourself on film. You're gonna critique yourself, you're gonna hate it. These guys, I've asked them not to film me for that reason, but they might be right now, I don't know if they are. But you gotta watch yourself on film, and that was kind of the bridge for Dad and my brother. Even though it was something Dad never did, he knew how to reach my brother, even though it was something he didn't have experience with. For me, he ended up being a coach for me on the football field, and there's so many ways he helped me get better. One of the core memories, we don't have enough time to share everything, but one of the memories I have, it was an Ohio State story. Him and his teammate, one of his teammates, I guess, and you will correct me if I'm wrong later, would go around, he would headbutt people, and he'd get so intense pregame, he'd go around, no helmet on, everybody else had a helmet on, give him a big old headbutt. And I was like, it's pretty cool. And he's an active coach somewhere today, but I'll leave his name out of it. So he becomes my high school coach, and guess I wasn't being physical enough for Dad. It was first day of full pads. Dad sees something in me. He grabs me, turns around, and he says, "Hey man, you gotta strike these dudes." And he headbutts me. No helmet on. I got my helmet on. And he gives me two big old headbutts. Blood starts coming down his forehead. And I was like, whoa. And I ended up having pretty good practice after that. Now, fast forward, I'm in college playing football in the middle of COVID season, going through the motions, West Virginia mountains, frozen field, everybody's cold, season got canceled, pandemic's breaking out, couldn't play anybody, but we're practicing for some reason. Everybody's moping and whining, why are we out here, I'm freezing cold. I'm like, okay, I've never done it yet. I gotta give the no helmet headbutt to somebody. So I grab my best buddy, I walk up to him, say, hey man, you ain't ready to practice. And I headbutt him twice. Dude, blood starts coming out my forehead. He says, dude, whoa, don't do that. I said, oh boy. Right then I knew my dad instilled a toughness in me that he might not have had. And I was forever thankful for that. But there's family stories about that in football. Dad, He's a fierce competitor, somebody I've always wanted to imitate my whole life. Can't play cards with him without, you're gonna get angry, man. I mean, go fish, mom's cracking up, and it's right, I mean, we were sitting there, right there 5 minutes ago. Michaela, my fiance, she draws pictures like, hey, you gotta draw this without picking up your pen. I do it wrong. Dad's like, what are you guys doing? Sure enough, he does it, slams my pen down. He's like, I'm like, my God. We were in a bar in West Virginia. We were axe throwing. First time we ever did it, we always wanted to do it. Us three, we're there, we're throwing this axe as hard as we can at this piece of wood. Can't get it to stick. I don't even care about the bullseye, I just want it to stick to the wood. I just want to stick to the wall, right? Dad's been gone for a little bit, I don't know what he's doing. He comes back, sets his water down, grabs the axe, first try. And I just sit down, I'm like, listen to him, man. But in all seriousness, he's a man that will do absolutely anything for his family, or to word it differently, somebody will do absolutely everything for the team. Whether that be the Leases, whether that be the Ohio State Buckeyes, whether that be the Kim Wildcats, Kings Mountain Mountaineers. Anything for the team. And he taught me so much more than how to headbutt somebody. He taught me how to lay it out there for the family and for the team. He taught me how to win, he taught me how to lose, he taught me how to have character, and when it's appropriate, how to be a character. Dad, we love you, buddy. Congratulations.
All right, thank you, Nathan. That was a lot of fun. I just want to say happy Father's Day to everyone. My father's here, and love that you guys had this on this weekend. Darren told me he's always planned to be on Father's Day, and that's what we're ready to do. Get to be able to see family. Got my son with me, so it's a good Father's Day weekend. My family here with me, of course, mom and dad, Tammy. They've supported me through my whole journey with sports. A lot of support, a lot of teaching. Tammy's husband, Dwayne, my Aunt Patty's here. She helped raise me. Nathan, he went through a big life-changing event a month or two ago. He invited us up to Virginia so he could propose to his lovely fiancee here in Michaela. So we're happy for that. Thank you to the Hall of Fame board for inducting me, Darren. I think you had a key part in that. It's humbling. It's a great honor. I appreciate it. Always love Hardin County. I've been in North Carolina for 20 years, but always call Hardin County Kitten, Ohio home. I've gotten calls in the past talking about being inducted into the Hall of Fames and different things, and I kind of didn't follow through. And one of the main reasons is I see my name on this plaque. It's a wonderful plaque, and I see a lot of accomplishments underneath it. But 90% of those accomplishments couldn't have been done without the team. As Nathan said, I'm a big team guy, so I kind of really had an issue with that in the past, but then I started thinking, you know, it's an opportunity to thank those people that helped me get to the place I'm at and stand in front of you here today. This part right here, yeah. So I've been in love with a beautiful woman for 35 years, been married to her for 30 years. Sharon here, my wife. She's a teacher in North Carolina, so her being a teacher gave me an opportunity to get back into the sport. So I became assistant football coach in North Carolina for 10 to 12 years. And during that time, as Nathan said, I got to coach him, which was very rewarding. But I got to coach other people. I've coached people from beginning football level to blue chips. and everything in between. So a lot of rewarding experiences there. The beginning, the guy I coached in the beginning was a kid that lived in Australia his whole life. He's an American kid that lived in Australia and came over as junior year of high school. And about 2 weeks into the season, his dad brings him in, he wants to play football, wants to learn how to play American football. So after practice every day, the head coach came to me and said, Tom, you think you can help him? And I'll give it a shot. Yeah, we'll teach him. Never got to be a starter, never got to be a star, but got in some games, made some tackles. And to see him light up and just the happiness on his face, that was rewarding. The blue chip athlete, I was out of coaching for 2 to 3 years. I was following Nathan around West Virginia, so I gave up coaching. And then I get a call about 2 weeks into football season from a friend of mine, strength coach at Kings Mountain, asked if I'd come back and coach. I'll come back and talk to the head coach. I talked to the head coach, and head coach and defense coordinator are legendary coaches out of South Carolina. They came to North Carolina. I don't know why, because the coach Kings Mountain. Kings Mountain's got a reputation for having some good athletes. So they came to North Carolina and said, we'll see how we do there. So I get there and they tell me they got a kid that they need help with. He's already signed to play at North Carolina. I'm like, what kind of help could you need with that kid? He's uncoachable. Well, I gotta see this. So the issue was he's uncoachable because he can make plays with ease. All right, so in team defense, you got to be able to play your assignment. You play your assignment. You get into holes being left open when you get into good teams. So Kings Mountain had a reputation. We beat everybody during the regular season. We get into the playoffs against a good coaching staff, and we get outcoached and outplayed because we played like that. So I ain't gonna bore you with a whole lot of this, but we got into the playoffs, and the kid made a beautiful play. The pulling lineman came at him, he slipped up, he slipped forward, made a tackle, 7-yard loss, first quarter. So he's all happy, I'm happy. He comes over and I talk to him. Now, how'd you do that? So I went underneath. So what's your assignment? What's your assignment? Stay outside. You screwed up, right? Stay outside of that. Inside, the linebacker goes inside. But I made the play. Yeah. Next time he comes after you, you've got to stay outside because they're going to come back to that. So the team came back to that, scored a touchdown on the play because this time the blocker slipped him, just rolled on him, tailback came outside and ran and hit 20 yards down the field for a touchdown. We lost that playoff game 13-7, and as the defense gave up 36 yards. 20 of them were on that. So halftime, I see the video, I see the film, I pull the kid over, show him the film. I say, you see what you did, what happened? He said, no. I said, the lineman don't have to do anything with it, right? Because you went underneath. He just turned around, put his hand on it, and went up to block the linebacker, 20 yards. Got to play this correctly. They're going to come back at it. So, third quarter, team comes back at it, and he plays it perfect. He beat up the linebacker, the pulling guard, tackle for a 10-yard loss. That's too late, right? But I think I got through to that kid to play North Carolina. You cannot have to play with him. That team defense. So that's my coaching career. So what I look back on is what I try to do when I was coaching is emulate the way I was coached, the way I was brought up, right? From my parents to the coaches that had a hand in what made me this all-state Buckeye and give me a chance to go to Ohio State. Couldn't always do it because I wasn't a full-time coach, like I said, voluntary coach. But I look back, I see what a coach, what a good coach can do to touch a kid's life. So, the first one I want to talk about is Arch Rogers, back in 1982. He never really coached me. He was a high school coach when I was in middle school. So as an 8th grader, we practiced behind Robinson Field, the big grass area, and you got the walkway that was in between that field and the stadium. Arch used to walk that walkway going home, and all we got to practice. So about 3 weeks ago in the season, well, by the way, I'm sorry, I gotta go back here. So in middle school, they split the teams up into a red team and a white team, right? And at the end of the year, the last game was under the lights in Robinson Field, big time. You had to go have the little kids go out and play under the lights in Robinson Field. So the red team, they were winning games all year. White team was not. I don't know white team. Red team, they took the biggest kid in school, basically the class bullet, and put him on running back just so he could run over everybody. So now we're going back to Arch Rogers. He'd come through. He'd watch us practice for 10, 15 minutes. He'd go on. He'd come through. He'd stop, watch us practice for 10, 15 minutes, and go on. Then pretty soon, he started staying longer. And then he'd come out and he'd coach me one-on-one. And he would just do the old school. He would grab me by the hips and talk to me the whole time about what I'm saying, and where I'm going, why I'm going, and he would throw me through the line spin by the hips, just to start getting me the feel for that. All right, so I started learning that, and I started doing it on my own. And then the week of that game comes, he's still doing it, and he just comes out and coaches me for 30 minutes, and then walks on. After that, didn't stay for any talk after practice, didn't do anything like that. So the week leading up to the game, the class bully, he really doesn't ever mess with me until that week. And he walks by me, throws me in the locker, kind of gives me the finger, right, pointing in my face, and couldn't do anything but laugh. Because I felt I got an edge now, right? So I just kind of smiled at him, might have winked at him. He went on. So that game came, and first series, we're on defense, and I see exactly what I wanted to see. I see the cues to make me fire, to make me trigger. And I ran through that 4-second, put my helmet in his chest. That's the first time I heard that, right? Well, you knocked the wind out of somebody. Best sound in the world to me at that time. He left the game. He didn't get hurt. He left the game. He didn't come back and run the ball anymore. We won that game. That moment, that unselfish act by Coach Rogers, I just wanted to recognize him and let you know what a good coaching point that was. That gave me a confidence to start going in my life and my journey in football. And it gave me an obsession with football. That little thing, 30 minutes a day, set me on my way. And when I look back to what started me on the road to Ohio State, that moment was the start. That was a catalyst. So I think about that all the time. Other coaches, Coach Hardin, track coach. I never ran track. Never ran track in my life, never wanted to run track. I was talking with Michaela yesterday. We was walking over the football field. And, I never really understood track. Michaela's a basketball player. She's a 2-time state champion in Virginia, by the way, which that's incredible for me. But she says, why would I want to go run something for fun where I get in trouble in my sport, I have to run, right? It's a punishment. Why would I want to do that for fun? I felt the same way, right? But Coach Hahn, my 10th grade year, he came up and he recruited me to run track. Same thing. Coach, I don't run track. Why would I want to run track? you'll like it, you'll love it. Just come out and run. And he kept at me for a couple of days. Finally, I said, okay, what am I going to run? He said, whatever you want to run. Just come out and run and have fun. Okay, so I went out, sophomore year, I ran. First, I had one stipulation, because I heard kids call him JJ all the time. Can I call you JJ? Yeah, you can call me. I don't care what you call me. Just come out and run. So I started going out and running track. And JJ worked with me. Coach Holland worked with me relentless. And he had me run 300 hurdles. And I got to the point where I was getting pretty good times in 300 hurdles, and I started looking at that record board in the high school gymnasium, track records. So I want to get that record. So kept working hurdles. Never got there. But kept going back out on the track. Sophomore, junior, senior year, started running track. And he started putting me in different events. We got pretty good. I was anchor on the mile relay. I'd say each person runs one full lap around the relay track. And I remember I was not the fastest guy on a quarter. Probably the fourth fastest guy. But he put me at anchor one day, the last guy. And I got to the baton probably in third or fourth place, right? And I just took off running, started walking these guys down in front. Got the third place guy on the back stretch, got the second place guy on the corner coming around. And then I was like, shoot, I might go get this other guy. So I kicked it into another gear and went and caught the first place guy at that finish line. That was a big thrill, right? Got done with that, and there's Coach Hahn looking at me, just laughing, smiling. That's why I want you to do that. Not for me, for you. It's another coaching moment, right? Just outstanding. And then, the third guy is, the legendary Mike Malk, right? I Googled. I was trying to remember our Hardin name, so I was trying to, I Googled, kept high school coaches. And it just went back to Mike Malk, I couldn't find it. And so I Googled coach before Mike Malk, coach 1982. It came up before the legendary Mike Malk took over, so I kind of got a kick out of it. Right? In my mind, he is a legend. He did so many things for me. But going back to where I started on my journey, my sophomore year, there was a linebacker, senior linebacker. His name was Rob Deemer, I think. Just a monster. And first day of pads, we're out there, we're doing tackling drills, and you got kids lined up, players lined up in two different lines. And I was never the smartest guy in the book, but I got kids in front of me, and I see them counting. I see their fingers. What are they doing? And they're counting their line. Got up, there's Rob Beamer staring at me when it's my turn to go. That's what those kids are doing. They're trying to find out so they don't have to face the guy. So I went out, and my best horse rider, what he taught me, strike first, right? And strike through. So I did that. I got off the ground, looking through my ear hole. I got pads in my helmet over here and over there. I got to pick them all up, snap them back in my helmet, get back in line. By the time I got all my pads snapped up, it's my turn to go again, and there he is again. All those kids had counted again, and naive Tom walks up there. Right? So that went on and went on. So the third time, they miscounted, and I wasn't up there to go with Rob. Right? Another kid was. Whew! By that one. First Mark steps in, takes the kid in front of Rob Beamer out. Come on up, Rob. And it's me and him again. That's the day. That's the day I think I proved myself to Coach Mark. I took that whole season thinking, I'm gonna play JV, right? I'm gonna do whatever I can at JV. Never played it down at JV. He put me in starting first game, and every drill we did, he made sure that I was facing while me. Right? That's a competitive thing in Coach Mom. He was very competitive. He was iron sharpens iron all the time. And that helped me immensely. The other things, sophomore year, I get a call, summertime, I'm relaxed, I get a call. Mom says, time to get a phone call. Get out there and Coach Mom on the phone. She said, hey, we're going to go play basketball. You want to go? Sure. So, little I know, I get in a car, get in his car, we drive to Marion, not Marion, that's long way. Drove to Marion. We're playing pickup basketball in a tournament. And we started doing that all summer long. I think we did that every year, right? I was talking to Darren beforehand. He's telling me how different it is today. Very different today. When I was coaching, I took some of Nathan's friends home in North Carolina. The next day, I get a call from the AD saying, Tom, I saw you with a bunch of kids in your car. Yeah? You can't drive those kids home. Those kids are at my house all the time. As a matter of fact, some of them spend the weekend at my house. Why can't I drive them home? That's the difference. Mom just said, you're going where? Play basketball. With who? Coach Moss. You never met Coach Moss before. When he was there, he took me to play basketball. We did that every summer, right? And those basketball games were competitive. Coach Mock, there's some of them I thought we might have to find our way out of the gymnasium. Coach Mock is that competitive. I think we played Darren in a couple of those games. Darren was in college. Playing in college. So, just overall, great guy. Another thing I wondered is, Coach Mock started coaching in 1983, so my freshman year. And I think we went 2-8, 2-8, 4-6. How does a kid from Kenton, Ohio, on a 4-6 team get noticed in that day and age? Somehow I did, right? That guy had to spend hours and hours on tape to get me noticed. And then once I got noticed, I guess I took care of it by myself. But I owe a lot to that guy, and those three guys, those other two coaches, Coach Facker as well. And I think, right? And I think about today's age, and I watch the way I coach, and I watch what happens, and I yearn for those moments, those coaching moments that put me on the line to the destination I got to. As I said, it was never me. I was a blank canvas. I was a guy that wanted to do it. And I was a guy that blessed with size and blessed with a lot of good coaches. And I'm going to finish with this right here. Best coaching advice I'd ever gotten. I got every week on a phone call with my mother. What was that advice, Mom? I promised her I'd bring her up in this, and she's let me down. But every time I talked to Mom, she would say, "Hit them before they hit you." Right? That's my beautiful mother telling me to hit things before they hit me.
Hit them before they hit you.
There you go. There you go. I thank the board. I thank the Thank you.
All right, please welcome the lector, Mr. Grant Sherman.
So first off,
I'd like to thank the Hall of Fame board. Congrats to everybody else for being elected. And then most importantly, to my brother for picking me to introduce him. It's a great honor for me. So I was 5 years younger, to be exact, than my brother growing up. And when you're the younger brother, you do a lot of time watching. And I remember growing up, my dad put out a basketball hoop outside of the court, and I was too young to go and play yet with my dad and my brother, so he put one up on the tree. And as soon as you get to the point where you're old enough, you can go graduate, and you can go and join my brother and my dad on the basketball court. And as we got older, okay, that really graduated into a bigger thing, these summer night 7-game series. And with these 7-game series, a lot of the time, it went me and my dad's way, you know, because 2 versus 1, even as young as I was. And the only thing that was guaranteed during those summer night 7-game series was if Garrett lost, he was going to kick the ball into the cornfield as far as he could go. Garrett just didn't play basketball. He lived it. Okay, from the time he could palm a basketball in middle school, everyone knew they were watching something special. But talent alone doesn't build a career. What built Garrett was how he responded every time competition got tougher. And the story I always remember was on the AAU circuit. And my family remembers the time in Pittsburgh on this occasion when he had the opportunity. He was going to play the #1 player in the country. His name was Stephen Van Treese, and he later ended up playing him again in college. And on this night, when I'm 11 years old and I'm watching my brother play the #1 player in the country, I'm thinking when we walk in, you know, #1 player in the country, this is going to be a tall task for us. And the only thing you could know from that night, that not only Garrett belonged, but he outskilled the #1 player in the country, and it let everyone know how special the talent he really was. And that response to competition took him to Michigan State, one of the most premier programs in the country, where he played in the Final Four in Indianapolis at Lucas Oil Field. And then from there, his path led him to Notre Dame, where he didn't flinch. He did the same things. He adapted, competed, and earned everything that came next, including a professional career overseas, representing this community on the international stage. But more importantly than anything, what I want this room to know about my brother goes beyond the accolades. He never took shortcuts. He never expected anything to be handed to him. Every opportunity he got, he earned. Every setback he faced, he answered, and that's the character behind his career. And now, the most important role of his life, being a father to Larkin and Hastings, everything he poured into the game, the discipline, the competitiveness, the heart, they get all that now. Those 2 girls are going to grow up knowing exactly what it looks like to earn something, and that's Garrett's greatest legacy. Those backyard games with my dad taught me something I didn't fully understand until I got older. And that was, Garrett was always pushing people around him to be better, whether he meant to or not. And Larkin and Hastings are going to know that better than anybody. Garrett, we love you as a family, and congratulations on making the Hall of Fame.
Well, thank you, first off, obviously. I mean, I guess it's my award, but it doesn't really feel like it, with everything that I've been given with everyone around me my entire career. So standing here tonight, it's kind of crazy to think that I'm old enough for these type of things, but as you get older, you start to realize that, you know, every time you go through these steps, you are old enough, and they just keep coming. So 10 years removed, I'm definitely so grateful for this community and everything they gave me, being around everybody that was a part of the journey. But the truth is, when you sit down and try to summarize an entire decade of your own life, it was never alone. Nothing happened by myself. Nothing happened just me. And I think that's how everybody's life kind of ends up. You realize that there's nothing that exists that isn't somehow contextualized and intertwined. But it was never a straight line. and no one might even say everything was great, but it ended up okay. And the biggest returns in my basketball life came most when I was unsure, and I committed to it and basically went all in. One of those moments is when I first joined an AU team in Elgin High School, or the high school coach brought me over to play with their team, and I remember walking to the gym like, well, this isn't Hardin Central, am I still the man? I guess we'll have to find out. And it was one of those moments where I did, and I built some of my favorite friendships. That's where I learned all my fundamentals. The coaches gave me a base when I was young, and some of those teammates I'm still best friends with today. So looking back on those moments, it's usually walking in with the most self-doubt ended up producing some of the biggest growth, and this is stuff I was most thankful for afterwards. Fast forward to the summer before my freshman year at Kenton. The program had gone 1-41 over the previous 2 seasons. There was a lot of conversations happening that maybe I couldn't accomplish my goals here, about whether staying here was going to be the right move for me. A lot of people had opinions, and on paper maybe it made sense, but for me, Kenton was home, and the people I grew up with mattered, and being here mattered. It wasn't the easy path, and before the first game starting varsity as a freshman, I felt like I was going to puke. Wasn't necessarily my mom's cooking this time, but it was her fault. But it turns out that I had a program-saving pressure that I put on myself, whether that was real or imaginary. It felt real in my mind, and I wondered if those goals could actually happen here, or whether I'd be enough to achieve them. But staying here forced me into roles that I hadn't really played before. It stretched my game. I had coaches who gave me the freedom to grow, just as importantly, the patience for a kid who didn't know what he didn't know. I had coaches who supported me and let me figure it out on my own. And maybe my practice habits weren't the best at times. Maybe not maybe. They weren't the best at times, but I still had the support and they held me accountable. You become thankful for those people who hold you accountable when you don't want to hold yourself accountable, and you're learning how to become a man. That decision ended up being exactly what I needed, and I'm thankful for everyone from coaches, managers, community members, and those who helped me along the way. Later on, after playing on Final Four team, I faced another one of those pivot moments in my life. Like many decisions, you sit making pros and cons list, and you think you have this figured out and this, and it usually comes down to a moment of clarity when you're sitting there and you say, yeah, I gotta go. And it was the middle of practice in March, and I knew, I gotta leave Michigan State. It's not gonna work. Transferring meant sitting out a full year. It meant hitting the reset button on every hour I'd put in to earn my spot in the rotation. The easy path was staying, sticking my head down, and avoiding the conflict. Nowadays, transferring mostly means more money, a better team, and already having the next school lined up from your agent. For me, it was not that then. It was burning the bridge and stepping completely into the unknown. No guarantees on any school. It was entirely a blind bet on myself and my support system to figure it out. And that harder path gave me 3 of my favorite years of my entire basketball career. Great coaches, great teammates, and great staff. I got to take the next step in my game with people around me who helped me do it. Once again, the biggest payoff came from the moment that I felt the most certain and chose the more difficult path anyway. That pattern has shown up over and over in my career, and if we're honest, in my life too. But Darren said 7 minutes, so I'm going 7 minutes. I'm going to shut this up. So if you want to hear the life story, it's not too late. It's easy once you're done playing to get caught up in the day-to-day and stop looking back. But being here tonight gives me a chance to step back and appreciate the full picture. The people who held me accountable when I needed it, the coaches who were patient while I figured things out, the teammates who made the hard days worth it and the good days great, my family who supported me every one of those decisions and guided a young man who didn't always want to hear it, but needed it. This doesn't belong to me. It belongs to every person who crossed my path, joined my path along the way, or after it. So thank you to the community, the Hall of Fame committee, and to everyone who helped me turn uncertain moments into something worth remembering. I'm grateful for the journey, the lesson, and the people. Thank you.
Okay, I'll give him my tippy toes to try and make it work here. Our next presentation, please welcome Mr. Craig McMillan.
those are not even going to come close. We'll just move this down a little bit. Drew, you'll have to put it back up. Evening, folks. Great to see so many friends and their family members here tonight. So many of them feel like my own family after growing up in the way we did in such a small community like Hardin Northern. My name is Craig McMillan, and I have the honor of telling you a little bit about my friend Drew Snow and his accomplishments on the athletic fields. Just so you're aware, no one's ever put a microphone in front of me that I wasn't happy to oblige them with, whatever the occasion called for. That being said, I know my time limit, so here we go. Well, the bulk of my time will be spent talking about Drew's successes on the football field. Drew is also a very well-rounded athlete, including being a 2-year letter winner in basketball and 3-year letter winner in baseball, earning all conference honors during his senior year. However, where Drew really outperformed his peers was on the football field, where he was a 3-year letter winner and garnered the following accolades. It's long, so pay attention. During Drew's junior year, he was named Blanchard Valley Conference First Team Offense as a running back and First Team Conference as a linebacker. Rumor has it he may have been the Defensive Player of the Year in the conference if his older brother Dustin hadn't beaten him out, and I'm sure Dustin doesn't let Drew forget about that. Drew was also named Northwest District First Team Offense that year. During Drew's senior year, he was named Blanchard Valley Conference First Team Offense and Defense again. He was named the Blanchard Valley Conference Offensive Player of the Year, and he was also named the Blanchard Valley Conference Defensive Player of the Year. He was Northwest District First Team Offense, Northwest District Running Back of the Year, and State of Ohio First Team All-State Running Back. Sure, there are some others I've missed, but again, I only have 5 minutes, so we'll move on. Some other facts about Drew that many of you may not be aware of. He participated in AAU track and field before anyone knew that was a thing, and he was a state qualifier in javelin. I think it was state, or maybe it was national. Who knows? Either way, as you'll see, whatever I say, you should probably believe it. Drew was also an avid skier. With his last name, how could you not be? Drew started taking me skiing with him when we were about 9 years old, and this continued through the rest of our time in school together. Our basketball coaches would get so mad because we would play a game on Friday night, then drive to Mad River Mountain, ski until the lifts closed, then ski again the following day until about 2 o'clock to get back for the Saturday night game. Drew would drop in 20 plus points on both nights while I ate popcorn and Skittles on the bench. All the All-State and Player of the Year accolades are impressive and would warrant him being inducted into the Hardin County Sports Hall of Fame, but the true story of how excellent and unstoppable a player Drew was were in the numbers within his career. In Drew's high school career, he rushed for 3,932 yards and scored 91 touchdowns. On the defensive side of the ball, he tallied 262 unassisted tackles, 115 assisted tackles for a total of 462 tackles. So you got him by 10 in your career, if I do the math right. You had 472 and you had 462. 55 of those tackles, however, were for loss. As a team during the 2001 season, the team recorded 5 shutouts in the 10-game regular season, scored just shy of 500 points, landing at 497, and surrendered only 62 points, averaging 41.4 points per game for the good guys and only 5.1 points for the opponents. Noteworthy regarding the defensive effort for the Polar Bears in 2001, Macomb's high-flying offense was held at 14.5 points per game in both meetings that we played them that year, 13 and 16 points respectively, while they averaged 52.1 points per game for the remaining games during the season. Shout out to Coach Mike Dennis, defensive coordinator who passed a number of years ago. Coach Bruno, don't worry, I'll get to you in a bit. The following year, the 2002 season, with only 32 students on the roster, people certainly would have settled for less than the previous year. Graduating 17 seniors, there were a lot of holes to fill. Anything 8-2 or better would have probably been respectable while waiting for younger players to develop and replenish the program. However, in the 2002 season, Drew accumulated a massive 1,920 rushing yards, scored 43 touchdowns, and recorded roughly 1 million tackles. If you're doing the math, 43 touchdowns in 15 games is just under 3 touchdowns per game. incredible. As a team, that group put together some impressive numbers, including scoring 387 points while only surrendering 76 in the regular season. During the regular season, Drew scored 29 touchdowns, which is 45% of all of the points scored during the regular season from one dude. In the playoffs, Drew became an even more dominant force when the team scored 112 points in 5 games while only surrendering 56, including 2 shutouts during that playoff run. Amazingly, Drew scored 14 of his 43 touchdowns over these 5 games, which again, quick math tells me is 84 points, or put another way, 75% of the total points that were scored during that 5-game playoff stretch. The remainder of the team managed a measly 28 points combined. Did people not game plan for this guy? Combining in 2001 and 2002 seasons, Drew was a clear leader on a team that outscored their opponents 996 to 194 over the span of 27 games and compiled a record of 24-3. Drew scored an amazing 46.5% of these points, and I'm sure that doesn't include any extra points or two-point conversions that he happened to score, of which were there a few, but who's counting? Seems like a lot of talk about the team as opposed to the individual. But if you know Drew, that's what he would prefer. Reviewing newspaper articles in preparation for this, I could not find a single quote that did not involve credit to the offensive or defensive lines in front of him, the other members of the team understanding and executing their role, etc. And that was each and every single member of the team, not just Drew. Illustrating this is a piece that I brought with me today. In a full-page newspaper article, there's a picture of Drew blocking for our quarterback, Clay, who's here today. Nearly 4,000 yards, over 90 touchdowns, and 8 trillion tackles. And the photo that they chose was one of Drew blocking instead of carrying the ball himself. If you know him, it's perfect. In the newspapers, man, did they love Drew. With a last name like Snow, how could you not? Snow showers, HN dishes out heavy doses of snow pours on, too much snow, and my personal favorite, the forecast for Hardin Northern calls for 75 degrees with a few clouds and a snowstorm along Route 81. Man, they loved Drew. Drew was a quiet leader, allowing others to develop into different types of leaders around him. He was just always there, always available, always the guy that we knew would get the tough 3 yards that we needed, or stuff an opposing player at the line on a goal-to-go situation. In a word, Drew was steady. One example of this is that Drew surpassed 100 yards in all but 3 of the 15 games during our senior year. One of those games was against Van Loon, where he had 91 yards and probably played the first quarter and a half. And then there was also the spectacular. In a second-round playoff against Troy Christian, Drew scored all 5 touchdowns in a 35-0 rout, including the play where, if my memory serves me correct, he broke over 10 tackles on 1 run. But that could be from any other random game, because it seemed to happen so frequently. As you can imagine, all of these gaudy statistics made Drew the focal point of opposing teams, regardless of which side of the ball they were game planning for. In the end, it didn't matter, even if the opponents knew what was coming. And thanks to Coach Bruno's style, they frequently did. Like 10 straight carries against Arlington to eat up the majority of the third quarter and essentially put the game away with a drive that ended in a touchdown. Last piece. Junior year practice before some random game, Coach Bruno had developed the Super Jumbo package, which involved, from left to right on the line of scrimmage, a tight end, guard, center, guard, tackle, 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 tight end. And in the backfield was the quarterback, Drew, and his older brother, Dustin. I was not permitted to be part of the Super Jumbo package, as I was not deemed jumbo enough. Coach Bruno's reasoning for this was because we just needed a little bit more, sorry, we're in the house of God, but we need a little more gas in the lineup. Besides, why not have 2 snows in the game instead of just 1? Someone asked a question, and it doesn't matter that I don't remember what it was, because the answer would have been the same. Coach Bruno just gave his famous half grin, rubbed his hands together in true Coach Bruno fashion, and said, "It doesn't matter, because we've got true snow." And he was right. It didn't matter what the question was, how hard people game planned, how many people they threw at him on either side of the ball, or how many times they tried to or actually eventually tackled him. It was all going to be all right, because we had Drew Snow. Congratulations, Drew.
Thanks, Craig, for that introduction. You know, when I first found out I was being inducted, me and my wife Tiffany were talking about who was going to present me. She's like, "Well, your brother's going to, right?" I'm like, "No, I'm getting Craig to." That's why, right there. A lot of people thought I talked a lot. It wasn't me talking. It was my friends, Craig, Matt, them talking about me. So thanks again. I'm truly honored to be inducted into the Hardin County Sports Hall of Fame. To be recognized individually as a three-sport athlete, it's incredibly meaningful to me. It validates a lot of hard work and dedication. That being said, being inducted alongside my 2002 teammates is probably the one that I am the most proud of. But first, I do want to thank my family, Tiffany and Leola, my daughter, for being here with me. She's got a little grin on her face. And then I want to thank my mom, who is here tonight. Thank you for all the rides, all the support, and for being there through every game, every season, and every challenge in my life. Thank you for making sure that no matter what was going on in our lives, we were always in the church pew on Sunday morning. You made sure that we knew none of this would be possible without knowing Jesus Christ. He's the one who gave us these abilities, and I am so thankful for you instilling the faith and values that you instilled in us from an early age. Looking back, I probably didn't fully appreciate everything you really did for us at the time, but I certainly do now, and I'm grateful for you that you are here to share this moment. I also want to recognize my dad. Although he is no longer with us, I know he's always looking down on me, and he's the one that taught me the value of hard work and perseverance. Even though most of the time I didn't want to hear what he had to say about my athletic career, he was always willing to help with the X's and O's of the games, and that meant the most that he was willing to do that at any time. I know he would have enjoyed being here tonight, and I know he would be proud of this honor. My dad, though, was tough on me and my brother. He kept us out of organized sports until junior high. While I still don't know what the reason for this is, something about loans not being developed, I don't know. But that just meant me and my brother had to find our own ways to compete. So this is where my brother comes in. We spent countless hours competing against each other in our backyard, down in the living room, or whatever room we were in. It didn't matter whether it was football, basketball, baseball, anything with the ball. It doesn't matter if it was a game that we made up 5 minutes. We were going to keep score, and neither of us were interested in losing. Usually it never got to that point, and it ended up in an all-out fight. And Mom had to come out and try to break us up. That didn't really work either. But in all seriousness, looking back at those backyard battles may have been the best training program that I ever had. It pushed both of us to work harder and compete harder, and while we spent years debating on who was the better athlete, I suppose being inducted into the Hall of Fame kind of settles that. Maybe someday he'll be able to do that. But in all seriousness, the competitiveness that we shared helped shape me into the athlete I became, and the countless games and contests taught me not to compete
and always taught me to compete and always to strive for better. And for that, I'm incredibly thankful. To my coaches, thanks for your leadership and your patience and the countless hours that you have invested in all of us. The lessons you have taught us have extended beyond the playing field and have stayed with me throughout my life. To my teammates, especially my fellow 2002 football team, thank you for the memories, the friendships, and the commitment we shared. The bonds we built and achieved together are what makes this recognition so special. We spent countless hours together, not just in the football field, but being in a small community, the classroom. We were always together. I could probably go through every member of that football team and share a memory, but just keep to a few, the ones around. Craig, I'll get to you later. Josh, he was the one doing the rain dance during 2 days. I graduated to a full-out rock concert, just to pass the time and keep us, so we weren't looking forward to what we were going to have to go do for another 3 hours. Clay, thanks for turning around and handing the ball off to me. Jason, I mean, you were the offensive lineman, not the only one that was faster than me, so it's still kind of confusing. Cody, sitting back there, I still can't get that picture out of my mind of I thought your knee was completely shattered. Sitting sideways on the grass, it freaks me out. Honestly, does. But you get up and on to the next play. Like, it was kind of crazy. I don't know how that happened, but so Craig, again, thanks for introducing me tonight. There's no doubt that we spent the most time together. It was always fun during the winter months, spending all our days on the ski slope and then racing back trying to make it to a basketball game. In the summer, it seemed like all our days consisted of lifting, speed camp, garage selling. Got to make sure we look both ways. That 4-way crossing or 2-way crossing, whatever. But going to sleep and then doing it all over again. Like, we spent a lot of time. And again, it means a great deal that you were willing to introduce me tonight. Matt, I don't think made it here tonight, but Matt Price, thanks for being our DJ. You'd be the one getting us pumped up. We would actually always go back to his house. Jeff Tress Price, thanks for having us and supporting our pregame rituals, making sure we were fueled up, mostly with a lot of bananas. I remember we'd hang out there and then we'd load up into the old Mazda and crank up some AC/DC and head to the school to get ready for the game. Those are the memories that stick with me. The wins and the losses don't really matter, but the friendships and routines that we built and the time together that we spent means the most. Again, my teammates, I'm glad that you are here tonight. Nobody truly understands what our tiny little football team actually accomplished. It makes me so happy. I mean, think about it, we lost, I think it was 18 seniors before a huge, and that's just huge for a small school. We found a way to win the BBC title using the Corey Rawson special against Corey Rawson. Anybody from Hardin Northern knows what the Corey Rawson special is. Or played on your coach version. We ended Mayor Local's long winning streak in a pouring down cold rainstorm. We beat Columbus Grove on a Sunday in the state semifinals on a snowy field in the middle of the afternoon. Those victories earned us the opportunity to play for a state championship, which I believe was only 4 days later since we played on a Sunday, and one of those days was Thanksgiving. So we ran out of steam. We did not win that game, but I'm extremely proud of what we were able to accomplish. Again, I'm grateful to everyone who has been a part of this journey. It's a privilege to be included among the outstanding athletes, coaches, and teams from Hardin County and being inducted into the Hardin County Hall of Fame. Thank you for this incredible honor.
Each year, the Hardin County Sports Hall of Fame recognizes one of the special teams that has left an indelible mark upon our county's rich athletic history. For this year's team presentation, please welcome to the lectern Coach Pete Bruno.
Well, these guys pretty much cover everything I was going to say, but anyways, first thing I'd like to do is thank the committee for putting the team into the Hall of Fame. But I tell you, it was a long time coming, and I didn't know if we were ever going to get to the state championship game, because on 3 different occasions we were knocking on the door. One time we actually had a 20-point lead, and I said to Coach Dennis, we're going to Canton, and we didn't win. And the next time, one other time, we were winning with 1:36 to go. We got beat by a field goal. And some people said it wasn't any good. So, and then another time we got beat 14-13 in the state semifinal games. But I was about ready to lose my faith. I hate to say that in the church here, but anyway. So I guess the key thing for us was persistence, and we had to have good players, which we did. I think 3 of the players on this team were all Ohio that year, and then we only had 5 seniors that played. Most of the team was made up of juniors. We started 1 freshman and 3 sophomores, so we were actually pretty young. And so you could say that this team helped pave the way for future teams that were going to play for Hardin Northern, and helped us accomplish some other goals. But like Craig said and Drew said, you know, part of the reason we were successful is because we had good people. And sometimes people wonder what's going on with their players. Well, I kind of know what each player is doing today. And I'm going to tell you what they're doing today. One person's in real estate. One person's a truck driver. We got 6 people working in a factory. We got 3 business owners, 1 technology specialist, 1 environmentalist, 2 people in logistics, 1 media specialist, 1 person works in construction. We got 1 person that works in natural gas. We got a hospital administrator. We got 2 accountants. We got 1 manufacturing engineer. We got 2 education administrators. And unfortunately, we have 1 person who is deceased from our team. And so you can see that these people were good students. And I actually had them all in the classroom, and one time Clay said, hey, you know what? You graded a test of ours, and somebody copied off of a paper, and they got the answer wrong, and the other kid got the answer right. I said, well, the kid that copied, he got the answer right, and I marked the kid, they both had the same answer, and I marked the other kids who gave them the answer wrong, and so they didn't. You know, if you're going to let them have that copy off them, well then you're going to have to let them have that point. So anyways, that's kind of what happened there. But anyways, if we run down through the season here, and like I said there, and I said something to media guys here today, in the headline of the Kent Times, it said that we just made it to the, finally made it to the state championship game. Well, let me tell you, if anybody ever had a harder time to get to the state championship, it had to be us that year, because the first game we played was against Anna, and they were an up-and-coming team, and I think their record was 8-3, but they actually gave us a pretty good game. And we got out of that game, and went home and watched the television, the news. Our lineman, their coach said, well, it wasn't about X and O's, it was more about Jimmy and Joe's. So, you know, so anyways, we got by that game. Next week, we played Triad, and as you know, Drew scored 5 touchdowns, but they were 11-0. We got by that game. Next game was against Marion Local. Now, you had to be there at that game because it was snowing, it was cold, it was wet, and Clay said before the game, he told me the other day, he said, well, you said, let's see what we can do. Well, in that game, actually, probably one of the plays of the game was Craig McMillan, who was just up here. Clay had thrown the ball down to the 2-yard line, and the ball was tipped in the air, and here comes Craig underneath and caught the ball, and Drew scored from the 2-yard line, and after that, we scored, I think, 26 unanswered points and put Mary Local away, who was the #1 team in the defending state champions. So we got that game out of the way. So then the next week, we played the #2 team in the state in Findlay, and I'm still not convinced that that was the place that game was supposed to be played, because I don't think they figured we was going to beat Mary Local. Oh, so that field wasn't ready. It was covered in snow, and the coaches, the people in Columbus Grove, they still complain about that game to this day. But anyway, actually, our Northern hired that guy to be the coach there, and I always reminded him of that game. But anyway, that goes with the territory, right? So anyways, in that game, we had a couple interceptions there. We had a big run, and we had Jason Myrock. I think he took it in for a touchdown. And so once again, we had big plays. We actually shut that team out. Now, and I'll tell you, then we get to the next game against Mogador, and I think Drew said it best. We just kind of ran out of gas. And I think there was different reasons why we ran out of gas. First of all, the game was played on Sunday. Mogador coaches they had already played. They were sitting in the stands watching us. And of course they were resting an extra day. And then another mistake probably was we should have spent the night in a motel instead of driving 3 hours to Canton. But I thought, well, what's the best decision to make? Where would you do if you was the parent? Sleep in your own bed or have them take them to a motel? Well, I thought maybe being an overprotective parent, well, they better stay in their own bed, right? But anyway, so we got there, and actually we dominated the first half, and we were winning the game till 5 minutes and 36 seconds to go in the third quarter. And I think we just ran out of gas. And, but that doesn't take anything away from the accomplishments that we had actually at that game. Earlier in the summer, they started this 7-on-7 stuff, which I absolutely didn't like, because that, took more time in preparing your team for the season and all that kind of stuff. But it was a good experience. I can tell you at one of those games, or at one of the 7-on-7s we went to, we were at Ohio State, and Coach Russell came up to me, and he was standing there watching the team play, and I said, look at that boy out there. That kid can kick the football. And that boy, Jason Myrock, ended up going down there and playing for the Buckeyes for a couple years. And so that was quite an accomplishment. So anyways, introducing the members of the team, There's only a few here, but,
If they're here, have them come up.
uh,
If they're here, have them come up.
okay. I'll introduce everybody's name, but, okay. So anyways, we have number 4, Jason McBride, number 7, Justin Crossman, number 10, Cody Rodabaugh. He's here.
Come on up. Don't be shy.
Come on out. Number 11, Eric Leffett, number 14, Cody Morris, number 15, Clay Bruno. Number 24, Kyle Dahl. Number 25, Craig McMillan. Number 32, Michael Ridgway. Number 33, Matt Kendall. Number 34, Drew Snow. Number 44, Matt Price. Number 45, Wyatt Ames. Number 50, DJ Miller. Also known as Confusa Tutti. And number 52, Derek Hastings. Number 53, Jason Wyrock. I could always tell on the first day of practice if we were going to have a good defense because, you know, now most of these people here were they starters. Now these are good-sized guys. Now can you imagine having to practice against them? But boy, in the first play when they ran the ball up the middle, whoever that lucky person got to be, and if I heard a thud, I knew our defense was going to be good. Well, we had Drew and Jason as our inside linebackers that year, and you could hear the thud, no doubt about it. And we had number 54, Chad Shields, number 55, Tim Fulks, number 57, Rob Walter, number 58, Darren Lamb, number 59, Isaac Fisher, number 61, Tyler Paul, number 63, Levi Sheets, number 65, Brett Thames, and number 66, Brandon Pauley, number 72, Jacob Williams, number 75, Scott Albert, number 76, Rodney Adams, number 77, Nathan Hall, number 78, Jesse Stuber, and number 88, Damon Plogger, and number 89, Dustin Tyndall. Okay. Okay, we also had assistant coaches, Mike Dennis, who has passed on us, but there's one story I had about Coach Dennis was against Corey Rawson, and you heard him say that we had to use the Corey Rawson special against Corey Rawson to try to beat him, but it actually went for 19 yards, and then the next play went to Craig in the flat for 12, and Drew took it in for the game-winning touchdown, and that was one heck of a game. But anyway, then the other team got the ball back, and they were driving down the field, and Coach Dennis says, he was my defensive coordinator, he said, and they were moving, and he says, what do you want me to do? He said, kind of late to ask me now, you know. And I said, well, give them something. That meant blitz. And he says, well, I am. I said, well, better keep doing it. And they got down to about the 25-yard line, and we stopped them and won the league championship. Okay, and we had Brett Halsey, he's here tonight. And Coach Halsey there, he was called kind of the worrier guy on the team, you know, he worried about everything, and I think it was the next year or something like that, we called a play, and they, oh my God, don't do that. And it only went for a 70-yard touchdown, you know, but anyway, so, And we also had Ryan Parsons and Ray Davis, Brock Poor and Keith Overnar, and Andrew Kane helped us out that year. So we had, like I said before, these guys, you know, when I looked at what does it take to, first of all, you have to make a team, but then the next thing is, I think there's three things that require each individual to have to be successful. And obviously the first one is dedication. And these guys were dedicated to the sport, to Hardin Northern. The second word, I think, is devotion. And no doubt about it, they were devoted. And the third thing was discipline. And that's where I came in. And they were disciplined. And I just wanted to mention, I forget half the things you want to say, it was against Triad, and after the game was over with, I believe it was that game, one of the officials come up and said, this is one of the, maybe the only game that I've ever refereed that a team had no penalties, and that is called discipline, all right? So these guys were highly successful in high school, but also they're highly successful today. So congratulations on getting into the Hall of Fame.
Slide on now, we're a quick picture here. You can go over to two coaches. Your call. This concludes our 14th Hall of Fame induction ceremony. Of course, we'd like to, this year's inductees was a Hardin football team, we're doing that right now, to hang around in front for some pictures. We'd like to also remind you, everyone, that this year's ceremony will be available online at KentonTV.com the next few days, courtesy of Richard Catterjohn. We hope to see everyone again next year as we recognize another class of worthy individuals as we continue to honor our proud legacy of athletic excellence in Hardin County. So again, thanks everyone for coming. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. Have a great night, drive safely, happy Father's Day tomorrow to all dads out there.